Hey, everyone. We are at this time yet again. I don't know about y'all, but this honestly has started turning into one of my favorite times of the week. Welcome to the Sunday Sit Down with yours truly, Nicole LaTreece. This is a space, an environment, a place dedicated to exploring the nuances of personal development, relationships, and the journey to self improvement. Each week, I or guests will join me to dive deep into meaningful conversations as a means to uncover insights and strategies that help you navigate life's challenges and opportunities. So, whether discussing the dynamics of changing relationships, because they always do, the intricacies of mental health, because we all need to be exploring some good mental health practices, or the steps towards personal empowerment, because guess what? You got this. This space aims to inspire, educate, and empower listeners to embrace growth and understanding of not just yourself, but other people around you as well. So if you are here tonight, congratulations. Thank you. I feel like you're saying yes to joining, to being part of this community, which is a community committed to personal growth and transformative change. So if you're like me and you're ready to, because we got a good topic tonight and a phenomenal guest joining me right now, my home girl, oh, my fast friend, my classmate, my confidant. Y'all got all night. I have to, take that time to list off what this lady has been in my life. But Miss ShonTa Nikole is joining me tonight. ShonTa, are you there? Okay, we will give her just a minute. She is on the conversation, but she is y'all. Every time I tell y'all, every Sunday, every time I come in front of this camera, every time one of my guests comes in front of this camera, y'all are joining us in real life. So there may be highs, there may be lows, there may be not having babysitters. Y'all have seen in my videos where Layla has come in and she wants to talk to me while I'm in the middle of doing a video, and it's just like, girl, do you not see all of this going on? Like y'all can't see my setup right now, but ring light. The light don't naturally look like this. Ring lights, cameras, microphones. Um, but y'all are coming and joining us in real life, and we appreciate it, but we ask for your understanding when we have those real life moments that we have to adhere to. So I'm gonna let her jump in whenever she wants to. Thank you again for joining for what I hope to be an eye-opening episode of the Sunday Sit Down tonight. Oh, baby, y'all was waiting for this. Y'all have been talking to me about this topic all week. And I'm happy that it wasn't, kind of intentional. Hold on, I hear the sheet. Let me see what I can do. Uh, I think your microphone might be muted. Hold on. Okay, Shante.
Can you
There she is. Yes, we can hear you. What up, girl?
girl? What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Real life, I was explaining to the people, we
Mhm.
are people. Opportunity out of our lives to be able to come and engage with people and have real life conversations that you and I have, off camera, and we have with other people too. But we just want to show what it's like for two women and for a community to come together to show what life looks like in real life. So,
Mhm.
how was your day other than you are right now?
It's been pretty steady for the most part.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's what's up.
yeah, pretty steady.
Tonight we got a juicy one for the people, right? We
Yeah.
talking about what will you no longer do for love, and the aim, the goal for this conversation tonight is really to shed light, expose. I really do expose those concessions that people are engaging in that are silently and secretly killing relationships out here in this dating pool, marriage pool, this life pool that's going on right now. So, how do you feel about, this topic that we're talking about tonight? What will you no longer do for love?
Um, I think it's really good because I feel like based on our background, or coming from a divorce, you have to like really have that hard conversation with yourself to figure out what you will no longer sacrifice. That's a part of the journey of healing, and just kind of getting to the place. I talk to my cousin, we call them when you get some of your non-negotiables. Those kind of things has to
Mm,
be on a list of what's a non-negotiable for you, what you're willing to accept, what you're willing to put on the shelf, what you're not going to deal with. So I think it's good. I mean, it makes you have a realistic conversation with yourself about where you want to go, and what you want out of your next. So
right, right. And for those of you, who like to get caught up on terminology and everything else, a more simple word for a non negotiable is what boundaries do you need to have in place, not just of yourself, but of the people that you are going to be engaging in your pursuit to find that one, or as you evolve within your relationship, when you have that one and kids get into the mix and
mhm.
careers get into the mix, we are evolutionary creatures. Who you knew Nicole to be on Thursday is not who Nicole is gonna be the next
Right.
Thursday. Now, don't get it twisted. Y'all shouldn't be switching up all like that quick. But I bring that to the light to just say the only expectation should really be that someone is going to evolve. Someone is going to adapt. And like Shantae said, after experiencing a divorce, if you really sit down with your stuff and if you give yourself permission to look at everything, what you did and didn't do, what that other person did and didn't
Mhm.
do, it's a whole bunch of evolution that should come out of that process. But ShonTa, you and I both know it's some people who ain't been sitting in their mess. So it's just like all they do is continue to perpetuate more and more mess, and all that baggage is brought with them. So we not talking to y'all. If y'all ain't ready to talk about, what you will no longer do for love, because it's not even love, I feel, as an expression for someone else. What are you willing to no longer do when it comes to your own level of self love?
Yeah,
Because a lack of self love will put you into positions where you don't receive full love from somebody else that you may look for it from.
that's true.
Yeah. So, we like to talk and expose all of it. People be like, oh, well, they didn't mention this. Well, put it in the chat. If you feel like there's something that we not mentioning and we not talking about, and you don't have the strength, the courage, or the wisdom, India already said it best, put it in the
Yeah.
chat. We'll talk about it for you. Or if you know me and ShonTa in real life, I got my phone right here. I be getting messages from people all the
Mhm.
time talking about talk about this and talk about that. So, first and foremost, I want to say this is an open discussion. Participation is strongly encouraged. It's not a means for Shantae and I to just come on here and talk about our own experiences. We are leading with our own experiences as a means to who may not know the words, who may not know the language, who, as I just said, may not quite have the courage to put it out there like that. We're two strong women. We don't mind doing it. So, with that being said, in the chat right now, below, write or put in there, what will you no longer do for love? And it can be, if you single, you really should be saying something right now as a faith statement, so you could keep the foolishness of whatever you feel like you don't want at bay before you even really explore the dating relationship. If you are married and you know you got issues and concerns that you're not talking to your husband or your wife about, what will you no longer do for love? So, Shantae, I'm going to ask you first. What is one thing that you will no longer do for love?
I have a lot of things, but I'll give you one thing that I that I feel like I did a lot in my marriage. Was like the terminology that I use is stuffing. I
Mm,
refuse to stuff. And basically that's like allowing things to build up and never addressing
mm,
them for the sake
mm,
of, you don't want to make your mate mad, or you don't want to cause an argument, or you feel like you always picking or nagging, or um, I feel like, I stuffed a lot. Um,
mm,
which in turn, this is me taking accountability for the role that I played in the marriage. I didn't address things, so it's like it started small, and then eventually it was bigger than what it could have been or what it should have been, because I didn't address it from the beginning. So I did a lot of stuffing. I didn't address certain things that bothered me, certain behaviors. Um, just I didn't address a lot of things. When they came up, I just kind of let it be, because I didn't want to nag. I didn't want to be complaining. I didn't want to argue. I was afraid of what that would turn into, and so I didn't address a
mm,
lot of things, a lot of things that
mm.
I should have. I should have. I absolutely should have. So that's
So, do you feel if maybe you would have addressed, like, even just the one to two more things than what you did, do you feel like that may have eliminated the space of being in a concession type of relationship?
yeah. Um, I should. I feel like I don't know. Let me just say this, because and I don't necessarily mean this in a bad way, but I'm gonna just say, I say it all the time: when you know better, you do better. And there are certain
Mhm.
things, like the woman that I am now, the person
Right.
that I am now, those things would not have been okay with me from jump. And that's why it's important to heal and know yourself and be in a good space before you join yourself with somebody else. Because, when you're broken and when you're looking for certain things, you will join yourself with someone that, you're unequally yoked with, or, it's like, no, not putting anybody down, but it's like, oh, you're in a place, or you're still trying to overcome some things that I already have. And so, I don't have the capacity, or I'm not in a
Mhm.
space to help you navigate that or deal with that or be back in that. You know what I mean? So, I feel like, just to answer what you said, it's like,
Mhm.
me being who I am now, I would not have been in that space to begin with. You understand what I'm saying? Can you
Understandable,
hear me?
yes. Oh, I have a, and it
Okay.
just came out. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I have
Okay.
something similar to that. It's just like when when I know. And now that I know, I can't ignore what it is that I know. And it makes
Correct.
me kind of think like maybe there was a part of you that you were silencing, because if you know it now and if it hits like it hits now, there was a part of you that you stopped listening to for it to be as, effective, or as for it to hit like it did. Like I always wonder that, because when we get on the other side of stuff, it's like, man, now that I know, I'm not accepting this. But it's just like, but what makes you feel like you didn't know in the beginning? You did, but you just weren't listening to it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, nah, I wholeheartedly understand where you're coming from. For me, I think one of my non-negotiables would be, or one of my concessions that I'm no longer willing to do for love is I'm no longer willing to shrink.
Mm.
I did that a lot. Like I would downplay my black girl magic. I would, just be sitting over there like a fly on a log, just thinking about who this person is, making them bigger than, what they have to be, or who they actually are, or who they're showing themselves to be. And I would just be like, they're bigger than me. But it wasn't that they were bigger than me. It was the love that I wanted to have. I put it in this person, making them this huge thing, to where I only had the capacity within the relationship to operate at this level.
Mhm.
That's not me. That's not how God designed it. That's not what he said is up. Like I have been told probably like within the last year, man, you think too much. The way you look at stuff is different. Like it ain't gotta be that deep. We talking about life, right? It is that deep. And if I'm engaging with someone who's just like, you too much, okay,
Yeah.
I hear you,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry, you're not capable of handling too
Mhm.
much. Like, no, because once you get into the groove of it, once you get on the other side of being uncomfortable with engaging with me, it becomes the norm. And then we continue to evolve and we continue to grow. So for me, I'm no longer willing to shrink for love, and I'm not willing to be in a shrunken place
Yeah.
for love either.
That's good.
Because ain't nobody got time for that at all. Um, Sorry, hang on, I'm putting. So we have people joining us from Instagram tonight. Marcus and Ebby, thank y'all. Marcus said, you hit the nail on the head, Shantae, with the non negotiables. Most of us get caught up with what we like about someone versus paying attention to the red flags,
Oh.
etc.
Mhm.
You and I have talked about this before,
Mhm.
baby. It don't matter if the flag is yellow, red, orange, purple, blue. If it's any other flag color other than green, don't do it.
Yeah.
Because that's a concession right there. I literally, like, when people talk about um Like me, one of my non-negotiables, I don't talk to people who smoke. I can be cool with you, I can see you out and about, but when it comes to intimate relationships, it's a no-go for me. Like, you
Yeah.
ain't gonna try to convince me no other way. My locks say no, my life say no. I got a whole kid that I'm trying to raise. No.
Yeah.
But there are people out here who feel that same type of way, and they're like, but he cute though.
It's all about your
But
capacity,
that's the
and what you can deal with. That's what I
Mhm.
think. It's all about your capacity and whatever's going to be for you. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, but I still disagree with it because those are the things that you make concessions to deal with in the beginning, in the pursuit of this person, or early on in the relationship. But then, probably 9 times out of 10, that's the very thing that you go to when you're in misalignment with this person, whether y'all getting into arguments, whether y'all don't like each other, love each other no more, whatever the case may be. Then you want to resort back to, well, you smoke. Okay, we've been together for a decade.
You knew
I've
that.
been for this
Mhm.
decade,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
now all of a sudden it's a
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's why we want to talk about those things, because those are the things that silently kill your relationships. It may not kill your relationship in the very beginning, but if it's something that you cannot get down with, that ain't the last man on earth,
Right.
right? Just because he cute, if you can see one person who's cute, you can find another person who cute who don't smoke, or whatever it is that you don't like. Like, it's okay not to like what you don't like. And if there is an individual that you see that puts you in the space of awareness of what you don't like, you're not judging them if you say, oh no, I don't like that. Judge the behavior, not the person, because you
Mhm.
don't know that person.
Right.
Oof, I feel it already.
I know this is delayed. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So for me, I always gotta have a rebuttal, but like, um, I wouldn't want to deal with anybody that smokes either. I will say that's not something that's like going to be a deal breaker for me, especially based on, and I'm not saying like, oh, you got to settle or whatever, but just based on, you know, the pool, if you will, based on the pool. um that may be a habit or something that they have that at some point will fall off, or not be, they could, you may be the person in their life that gets them to a place where they don't smoke anymore. So that's like,
Hmm.
for me, it's like I'm talking about things that are like, you got childhood trauma because your daddy beat your mama, or you was molested, or you was beat, or and those, you in a place where you ain't dealt with those things at 40 plus years old. Like, I'm running, because get on somebody's couch and heal so you can go forward with your life. Now, your smoking habit, we can work on that. You go stand outside and smoke your cigarette or whatever until you get to a place where you feel like you're not. But that other stuff, that generational stuff, and I'm only speaking from experience. Being connected and attached, like I said in the last thing, where it's like, you come in a relationship, I'll come in a relationship. You got a suitcase, I got a suitcase. Okay, I got my
Hmm.
suitcase over here on the bed and I'm unpacking it, and you got yours over there in the corner with a blanket on top of it and a pillow. That don't work for me. That don't
Yeah,
work for me. That does not work for me
yeah.
at all. So, um, yeah.
And I get it. No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. But if we're looking at it from the dynamic of first see somebody, you don't know that they got childhood trauma, right? So it's like
Right, right,
being
right.
able to identify concessions at the various stages. Because if, for me, and maybe this is the life coach in me or whatever the case may be, if I see that you smoke, my experience is my family has smoked for all of my life, really up until now. Smoking is a form of a coping mechanism. It helps to
Mm-hmm.
dull the senses. It helps to be able to, get that quick fix of, oh, I got all these stresses in life going on. Let me fire up something real quick. And now I'm just chilling. I ain't worried about nothing else that I was worried about before. But if I can see that you do that, I'm going to ask, well, one, what do you smoke? Because I got non-negotiables in. Well, no, that's just I used to do that. Like at first, it was I don't even want to get into that because I was childish, but you know where I'm going. But it's like, okay,
Yeah.
if you smoke, why is that something that you choose to do? And for some people, like I said, it can be like the same type of thing for me. They've always seen somebody smoking in their family. So subconsciously, they just figure that's the thing to do. But smoking kills your body. It kills the environment of the other people that you are around. So it's like if you're not willing to be aware in that regard of like the kind of longer down the line, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? And prime example, I was telling my friend at church this. I was at a Quick Trip at Gilcrease. This was like a long time ago. But a guy had approached me, he told me he found me attractive. I was like, oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. He was like, you think I could get your number? And I looked at him and I was like, I don't talk to people who smoke. And he had a puzzled look on his face. And I looked down at his hand and he looked down at his hand and he had a black and mild that he had just put out. You're not even aware of the fact that you smoke because you don't know that you have this thing in your hand. Like that's why I'm just like, no, I can't. And we're talking about smoking, but just for me, smoking goes on a deep level, like what ShonTa was saying with the childhood traumas. It's a reason why we do the
Yeah.
things that we do. And if we're not in the space to be aware of the coping mechanisms and the resolved childhood trauma, we don't need to be in this world. But it's concessions that we're making. You have unhealed trauma, you might be willing to link up with somebody who smokes, does drugs, drinks alcohol in excess because you just don't know better. That could have been a part of the
Right.
childhood trauma that you need to get healing and possibly therapy from. But it's looking deeper than surface level. So what would you say might be some
Mm. As far as you saying like
just
things
say
that you choosing to be, go ahead.
go ahead.
I know
No,
it's
you go.
delayed. I'm in the car, so it's delayed. Are you saying like things that we are saying we're dealing with in a relationship, or like those, like we talk about those flags and stuff that we tend to overlook or say it's okay because you like somebody?
It's all of it because every all of that is concessions. It don't matter how you spin it. Whether you say a red
Yeah.
flag, that's a you willing to go, engage with that red flag, that's a concession. Whether you tend to like hold your ground in the beginning and be like, you know what, this ain't what I'm going for, but somebody else wears you down, like they debo you, they stall you out until you get lonely enough to where you're willing to
They love
concede to
bomb you. How about that?
love bomb. I'm not hungry.
hmm
Okay, so y'all can keep y'all little crumbs.
I think one thing, again, I just try to, I'm speaking from my experiences. Um, I mean, and this is not to say that I won't, but as far as and I know I'll probably get, some stuff behind this, but like, my kids are, I'm not going to say that I don't want to date anybody who has children. But I feel like that's something also because, we were blended times 10, when I was married, modern day Brady Bunch. And I just feel like, um, when there's so many people, you got all these mamas, and then, we got these daddies, and then we got these step parents, and then we got these, I mean, that I'm not in a place anymore, even with that, to be like, well, you got 7 kids and 7 mamas, and then, no. It just don't work for me. And I've had conversations with friends and family to say, like, how can you say you don't want to date somebody who has children, or because you have children, or how do you say you don't want to date? For me, I feel like 13 and older, the kids need to be that age. My son's 15, getting ready to be 16. My daughter's 24. I'm raising pickles back there. But
Mhm.
I just don't, I don't want to deal. I would prefer not to deal with someone who has smaller children, because that just takes on another level of responsibility, a whole other set of priorities and things that it requires them to deal with. And I feel like that was one thing, I mean, which my kids were younger, obviously, when I got married and stuff, but it just, that was a whole other set of problems and issues, when you're dealing with, mamas and stepmamas and daddies and stepdaddies, and just that's something for me personally. I'm not in a place to I'm no longer willing to deal with that for the sake of saying I have somebody. That's just, I'm not there no more, because that version of
No,
Shantae,
and I mean, I can
she ain't coming back.
mhm.
Stepmama Tay Tay is gone. Shit. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, no, and I get that. And for those people who ask you those types of questions, I would challenge you to tell them, I'm no longer interested in repeating the same cycles. I
Ooh.
don't want to participate in broken families. I don't want to participate in broken cycles. Like,
Look, let me
I just
get this
don't. And I
disclaimer. If
have
my
that
husband
right
is
to,
out
you
there
know
and
what
you
I'm
got
saying?
some
Like,
kids, I ain't against it, but I'm just saying, work with me, please.
no,
The
no.
Lord
And that's what
knows.
I'm saying. The right people the right people are going to be tuned into the right frequency to hear what you have
Right,
to say.
right,
You are not saying that you are against children,
right.
period. It is you have a preference, not younger children. And then there's deeper levels that go to that. Like most people are
Right.
here at surface level. No, at a younger age, a child needs both parents
Correct.
to be involved. Depending on how
Yeah.
young that child is, y'all may be trying to figure out your dynamic for the sake of that child, but at the same time, you
Correct.
still over here with me or Shantae, and it's no, figure out what you need to.
Hmm.
I wish you all the best, but
Hmm.
that's me. Like,
Correct.
I'm glad you figured that part out, girl. I don't know where I'm at on that. I'm just gonna let the Lord take the lead on that because I'm one moment I'm like, oh, okay, like I'd like to have another child, and then on the other moment I'm like, well, mine is 11 now. I did not
Oh,
envision like
baby.
is it in that regard, I'm looking at it, is it me? Is it my pride saying, Lord, this is the way that I wanted it to be. I never envisioned my child being by herself. If I did not have the two miscarriages that I previously had, I would have three kids by now. But that's not my story.
Yeah.
That's not where I am. And it's not to say that in the future, my husband may not come into the picture with additional children for himself. What your relationship with the mother of your children look like? Because I'm not big on that baby mama, baby daddy. Because the way that society uses that now connotation, that
Hmm.
wasn't just your
I
baby
agree.
mama or your baby daddy when you was laying down with that person, but they turn
Yeah.
into something that you demeaned because you no longer feeling that person. Like, nah. So yes, but those are conversations that need to be had early on. So concessions are not being made along the way. Like,
I agree.
yeah. And just because I ask, I'm not judging you. Hell, you could be one person who got two or three kids by the same person, but you still ain't doing what you need to do right by them two or three kids and that
Yeah.
person's the mother. Like it's situational. Like I don't put a blanket statement on, if you come into the situation with kids, it's a no-go. No, that is not a non-negotiable. It's a
Right.
all right, we're gonna have to talk about that to see exactly how
Hmm.
far it goes. Like
Yeah.
and like I said,
I
me and
agree with
Shantae,
that.
we have these conversations because we want to see if by us putting our experiences and our insights into this dating pool in this dating world as being two single women, two single mothers, raising the next generation. We're try to change what can be changed if possible. So that way our future kings and our future queens, they don't have to go through the same things that we did. And even talking to you now, Shantae, like looking at everything, I see the shift because in our grandparents' time, the way I see it, it was about just staying together, right? Like that's just what you did. It don't matter what it was. Like once y'all linked up, oh, y'all was linked for life.
Yeah.
Then with my mom's generation, it was her more of the product of divorce, and but it was an awakening. You know what I'm saying? Like to not have to feel like you literally have to stay with that person. If he's, beating you down, you don't have to stay with that
Right.
person. That person is not like respecting you, your position, what you bring into the home. Like I get it. And it's unfortunate that divorce is a byproduct of my parents' generation, to where now it's more of us that are divorced single parents trying to do what it is. But now I feel like for our generation, we're the ones beginning to speak up. In the beginning, it's just like, nah, you don't. That math ain't math, and 1 plus 1 ain't supposed to
Mhm.
equal 3. It's supposed to equal 2, and I'm not down for that. So hopefully, when my daughter comes into this dating world, she'll be able to have the capability to make a more informed
Right.
decision because she has all of that expertise that preceded
Right.
her.
I agree with that. And one thing that I can say, my pastor said this today in church, and I was like, "Oh, that was really good," because you talking about like the generations and back in the day, the mamas and grandmas and stuff. It was more so like you with this person, you have children, you locked in. Divorce was a bad thing, and I'm not saying that it's even a good thing now. I felt like I
Yeah,
carried a lot of like guilt and just almost like walking around with a scarlet letter, feeling a certain way, like I was a failure, like I let myself down, I let God down, I let my children down. But the one thing he said today about it was a lot of people that have been divorced, maybe for the right or wrong reasons, but when we don't allow God to put us back together, not together as a couple or as in the marriage, but just individually, not allowing God to just, put you back
yeah,
together, you know what I mean? And being whole so that you can, be in a better space, whether you going forward single for the rest of your life or, for God to join you with somebody else. But it's important. And to me, that's part of doing the healing. And if you need in a therapy or whatever, allowing God to, put you back together and be whole, you know what I mean? Because that does not define who you are, you know what I mean? It's like
right,
um I mean, and I'm not saying marriage is not a big deal, because it absolutely is. It's the highest relationship up there, besides the relationship with Christ. But it's like, that does not make you a failure. That does not mean, you have to be defined by that because that didn't work out. And, you were in a place where, you chose your person and didn't let God, you know what I'm saying? It's just
right,
like,
right.
I mean, things happen, you know what I mean? It's like you wanted, girl, I can remember what I used to be sitting in church and being like, oh my God, I want to be married. I want to be a wife. I want to be, and just had no idea what that
It really
entailed.
meant.
Like I just,
Mhm.
girl, I just didn't know, because I would have been like, Lord, never mind. I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't.
And see, my experience was the complete opposite from yours. I never envisioned marriage because I came from an environment where all I saw was people married, but they were broken marriages. Like my mom and dad were divorced by the time I was 1. I never knew them together,
Yeah.
right? And then I had my grandparents, which you would think is like the old school generation of love, but they had their own challenges within their relationships as being two individuals joined together for the and my aunt and my uncle, and I'm not bashing any of their experiences. They were living their lives to the best of their abilities. But because that's all I saw, it's like marriage ain't the end all be all. It can't be if it looked like this, from my little world. So it's just like,
Not a healthy
I knew I was
perspective.
gonna have
Yeah.
kids, right? Kids, it was just like, oh, okay, kids are the norm. They're to be expected. I can take that. But then it's just like when the relationship came about with my ex husband, it was just like I was going through the motions, and then kind of my perspective changed because of what we had built, kind of what we had overcome, stuff like that. But we still had our own challenges within that, that if I really listened and moved, because I'm like, was it me that was telling myself, like, this ain't what's up? Or was it God telling me in my own language that He knew that I could hear? This ain't what's up. The mistake had already been made, right? There was no discounting that. But to not turn, to not repent, to not um allow myself to go down the rabbit hole a lot deeper, because this was when my daughter was born. Like when I was pregnant was when all the challenges really hit the fan. I never felt so alone. I never felt so abandoned other than, when I was in my pregnancy. She came, all right, cool. Like I'm doing what it is that I got to do now as a mom. Bump that person. They still around, but I got to focus on this kid. And honestly, like I don't tell too many people this, but I was in my relationship technically for 12 years. I had processed out of my relationship maybe by like the fifth year of being in it. And like I said, by that time, my daughter was born. She was living, thriving. We was doing life. But then I got married on top of that.
Mm,
So y'all take it from me. And I'm not like, no knock to my ex husband. This ain't got nothing to do with him. It's more about the experience, and it's more about, what I wasn't willing to listen to for
yeah.
me. I got married knowing that in that space it wasn't what was up, but I did it because, like some people say, marriage is what you do. If you done built this much life with this person, how can you not marry them?
Yeah.
That don't always make it right. That don't always mean that that's the thing that you should do. If we talking about, 7 years, 7, 8 years ago now, who could, I can't even imagine the woman that I would be at this point being able to stand firm on my standards and what I needed, as opposed to taking the additional 5, 6 years
Yeah.
beyond that point. I'm telling y'all, concessions is a real mug, man.
That's you that's that's good, because it is. I mean, and I had similar, but not. I mean, obviously we didn't have any children together, but it was like the day that I was getting married. um there had already been, different things in the relationship um leading up to that, and I knew in my mind, I mean, the nerves that I had the day of, it was like I knew better. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely knew better. And I can have
Mm.
this conversation now. I've had this conversation with a couple people since then. I knew better, but I still did it feeling like, you know God is going to honor this. God is going to, make this right. We serving Christ. We going to church. We trying to do the right thing. God is going to honor this. Um, and don't mistake me. I'm not saying like, oh, God didn't do his part, or he didn't. I absolutely wholeheartedly uh take accountability for my role in the
Yeah.
marriage and the way that it played out, and what I did or what I didn't do, not enough that I didn't give or gave or whatever. But it's like I knew better then, and I still went forward in hopes that it's gonna get better. That was me
That is
not
gonna
listening
turn
to that little
around.
voice. Yeah, to say like, "ShonTa, you know better." I wasn't in a healthy space, obviously, because I made the choice to join myself with someone who was not healthy also. You know what I mean? And that's a absolute recipe for disaster. So again, like we
Yeah.
say, when you know better, you do better. Because that was one thing, that I just, yeah, I put it on the shelf to say, like, well, I'm gonna make this sacrifice because God gonna work it out. And it was hell.
I mean, he did, but he took you show enough around that mountain instead of through it.
Well, because
It's
we
like,
have the
oh,
free
okay.
will. He's not going to go against that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We have free will. Um but it's important to be in tune and connected, because then you can use that wisdom, the Holy Spirit, to know, hey, this ain't wise.
Yeah.
This is not wise,
This ain't
Um
what's up.
Yeah, and that's no
Hmm.
bashing to say like that person ain't a good person, or they don't have a good heart, or they not, it just the timing of it, and the person, the healing, and that it was not a good thing. It was not a good thing.
It wasn't what was up, and that's cool. You can say like at least that once. I feel like once people get to a point to be able to just say, you know what, that relationship wasn't what's up. You
Hmm.
can leave it at that. You don't have to go down the rabbit hole of saying, well, this person wasn't this and this person, or qualifying why it wasn't. Just have that blanket statement, like you said, acknowledge and hold yourself accountable for what you need to and move forward how you need to as being that newfound individual. That's why I have such a problem when people say move on. No, because when you move on, you still carrying that baggage with you because you ain't let it go. When you move forward, moving forward, it's hey, I've had these experiences, like what we just said. This relation or that relationship, it wasn't what was up. This is what I don't want. This is what I'm no longer going for. This is the person that I know that I no longer am. I am taking these things forward with me as a means to not have it come, dragged along. Or I can acknowledge it when I see somebody else dragging that stuff along. TSA airport
Yeah.
security. I'm sorry, you need to check your bag right over there, and you could go with it. You know what I'm saying? But we want this to be out there as a means to move people forward. Like ShonTa said, when you know better, you do better. If you are at the point that you don't even know that, you should at least be able to break both of those statements up to say, what is it that you want? Do you want to know better? And if you want to know better, you have to seek what you feel is better. Do you want to
Yeah.
do better? If you want to do better, you have to seek what it takes. This is actions for you to
Yes.
do better. If you just want to be a better person, it is not enough to be like, oh, you know what? God done came to me. I done had a whole moment, a whole revelation of I'm not a good person. What you gonna do with that revelation? Because it can't just sit there. Because like we just said, when you know better, the expectation is to do better. But you
Yeah.
have to want to in all
And you
ways.
have to you have to be in a space also, and be, try to get connected or be connected to people who, can help you. Because this was another nugget I got today. It's like he said, basically, like mothers and fathers that are, you raising children, and you're reproducing those same type of people with the same kind of mindsets, with the same kind of
Mm.
attitudes, with the same type of life. It's like you have to get out of that box or that square to, obtain that knowledge, and learn, and do better, and be in a better space. Otherwise, you just reproducing the same thing. And that's like, that's the same for us. If you don't try to, okay, it's like what you just said. Okay, you get that, to know, like, okay, you're not a good person, or you haven't made good choices, or you need to change this or change that. It's like, what are the steps? Once you know that
Mm.
and acknowledge that, then it's like, what are the steps, or what's the plan to get to a place where, you making better choices, or you being a better person, or it can't just be, okay, you get that revelation and then you don't do nothing with it. Because then what's gonna
But
happen?
there's
The same stuff.
accountability that has to go into that to go
Yeah.
deeper into that revelation. Because like you just said, what needs to be done once you have that revelation? Okay, I don't try to put anything off on somebody. Is this your behavior? Okay, you have not engaged in good behavior. Cool. What have you done to sit in your mess to identify what you designate as bad behavior? And if you still don't know beyond that point within yourself what may be bad behavior, what have other people told you that they have experienced in engaging with you that has been viewed as bad behavior?
Yeah.
Okay, once you get that, why did you choose to engage in those things in those ways? Why didn't you apologize? Why didn't you change the behavior? Like it's like you can ask yourself a series of 5 questions. Once you ask the initial question, ask yourself why. Once you get to that next layer, again, ask yourself why. And once you ask yourself why, at least maybe like 5 times, they say, you will be able to get to the root of something.
Yeah.
Then you can change it around. But a lot of people, especially when they're hurt people hurting other people, they lack the capacity to either ask themselves why initially. They sure ain't going down the other 4 levels to
Mm-mm.
get to the real
No.
root because they don't want that hurt to come. They're like, man, I already feel bad. What's the alternative? What's worse than what you're feeling right now, other than you getting locked into a situation that you really can't get out of?
Mm-hmm. Because you want to not deal with self.
Right. But and when you
Yeah.
get to the space of co-parenting, people like to say, "Oh, I just gotta wait till he or she turned 18." No, boo boo, you are locked and tied to that other individual until you or that child is in the grave. Stop it. Like that's a
Look,
concession that
look.
people
That's
make
a
for the sake of
that's
love.
another topic for another day. Co-parenting. That's another topic for
And
another day. Come on now.
yes, most definitely. But I'm just saying, when it comes to parenting, there is a element of love in parenting. Um, some people are gonna shoot me for this because my mind works differently than other people. There is a element of love that comes in every experience when someone produces a child, whether it is the love for themselves, whether it is the love for that person, whether it is the love for the transactional space that they have operated in to be doing this because neither one of them want to be. There is an element of love rooted at the conception of every child. So this whole conversation, all of it is tied in together. What will you no longer do for love? Maybe you need to identify what level or what space of love you're really operating in, and then you can really answer that question for yourself.
Yeah.
Why you looking like that?
Yeah. That's. I mean, because that's real.
But you know what I'm saying? And
That's
I say like that because are like the people that we really know, they are willing to make concessions to negate what it is that we're trying to say. For me, no, I told y'all at the beginning of this conversation, I like that word exposure. Okay, you may not look at it this way, but okay, what was your feelings when you was knocking that girl? Okay,
ooh.
it was something in there
Yeah.
when it happened. Like, stop it. Because even like ShonTa brought up earlier, like we're heterosexual women, we date guys. So having a guy that has like 5, 15 kids, why did you feel you needed a football team, bruh? And then if you have let's
Looking
talk
for
about
something.
who is it? Cam Newton, Nick Cannon, all these different women. Like, y'all decision is y'all decision, but as somebody who doesn't operate in that space, I'm going to wonder why. Because all you are doing is perpetuating broken families. It's not enough to just like financially support the child, you or spend time. You don't have enough capacity to be able to be everything that each of those children need for you to be. You don't have that capacity for love. You are not God, but you out here reproducing as though you are. Like, y'all need to stop doing that for love.
Right.
Um, so like we've been looking at it from the perspective of external love. So Shantae, what will you no longer do as a means to compromise your own sense of self love?
All the above. um
It
no,
seems
no, I think that, these things, the all of the things that we've, even talked about now, it takes away from that, when you compromise, because that means, um I'm not gonna say that it means that, but it's just, that's, to me, that's a reflection of how much you love and care about yourself. You know what I mean? That you're willing to
mhm,
sacrifice so much of these things, that you put yourself in a lower space. Like you said, you shrinking down, for the sake of, somebody else, or to say you in a relationship, or to be with somebody else. And it's like, we that's not the way it's designed. You know what I mean? Because love is not hard. Love is not selfish. Love does not, it's all, that's is, I know it probably sounds cliche, but that's real deal. I mean, that's for real. It's not any of those
right,
things. And so when we, um shrink down and stuff, and take all of those things, it's a reflection of how much you truly, you feel like you love yourself, and, self love this and self love that. But you don't really love yourself when you allow people to, you know you don't love yourself to the extent that you say you do, when you allow people to treat you like a doormat, when you don't speak up for yourself. And not saying that it has to be in a tacky and untasteful way, but it's just like accepting all those things and taking all these blows and stuff. Like, God did not design it that way. He did not design it that way, for love to be hard, or
right,
to be complicated, or chaos, or, he's not the author of any of that. So that's not, no, that ain't what he got for you, if it has to be any of those. Now, that's not to say, you won't have some ups and downs, and some issues, and have to work through and navigate through some stuff. But when it has to be that, when it's ugly, when it's iffy, when it's, you don't know, you letting it be organic, and see what happened, and you don't know, it just, no, that ain't it at all. And so that, to me, is
right.
that's reflects your self-love, when you got to be shrinking down and tolerating stuff, because you feel like, well, or in my case, to be saying, well, God gonna work it out, he know we trying, and we it's like, no, 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 no. You don't really love yourself to the
Yeah,
capacity that you say you do. Yeah.
right, right. And to add on to what Shantae said, another way to say it is when you concede, concession is, it goes against your sense of self love, because there is no you in that situation. There is no you in any space where you can see you subdue, you subtract yourself from out of that space when you concede. Compromise, healthy compromise, is a necessity in navigating relationships, especially when you're operating from the space of self love first, and then you connect with someone else. Compromise, if you think about the word, it's co promise. Co promise. That means two people trying their best to be on one accord for the sake of the dynamic that they are building. If the build is one sided, maybe you need to reevaluate that. Maybe you need to look at the roles that you have positioned yourself in as a result of the series of concessions that you have made along the way. And once you do that, you'll be able to see, this ain't what's up. This ain't evenly yoked. This is not in alignment. We are slightly out of misalignment, what can we do? Bring ourselves back into alignment if need be as a couple, or what do we need to do possibly to bring ourselves back into alignment as individuals? Whatever the case may be, like you have to have this question right here at the root of what it is that fuels that. What will you no longer do for love? I believe I have lost my co-host, so I am going to go ahead and wrap this up right now.
I'm
When
here.
it comes to, oh, okay, girl, I was about to say, and I was about to text you in a minute and be like, you straight? One thing I will say that I will no longer do when it comes to having a concession for self love is I will not let someone else's burden be my burden. And when I say that, I can see who people are, I can see what it is that they're going through, and I can be empathetic to that. But I will no longer take on anyone else's mess. If you are someone that is not capable, someone who is not willing, someone who is not able to handle, organize, clean up, declutter your own mess, I can't romantically get involved in that because I have to do it for myself. So I'm not asking that person to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. But if because I love myself enough, I don't allow mess to occur in my own life. I'm not about to let somebody else. I'm not a cleaning lady. So no, don't burden me with your burden and expect me to be there as a result of it. I love myself too much. I love my life too much, and I don't even know 100% where my life is leading at this point. But I know because of the fact that my mess is organized right now and everything is getting worked out. Oh, it's gonna be Gucci.
Yeah.
So I mean, Shantae, like this one was a good one. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
this one. Like
I
I
agree.
like when we're able to have these conversations, and it's just like it's literally topics that people could talk about, at the water cooler. Y'all need to be gossiping about stuff like this. Be like, oh, y'all hear that last episode of the Sunday Sit Down? They was talking about what will you no longer do for love. Ask your circle the same question because it starts with y'all. Like we are two people. We have these types of conversations off camera, but it's like, you know what? What would happen if we show other people? Now, we don't give y'all all of the stuff that we be talking about because y'all don't need to know where the bodies is buried and who is involved and who ain't. But we could still take those bits and pieces of the quality of the conversations that we have off camera and bring it to you guys to be able to push this thing forward. So, with that said, Shantae, what are your lasting words for the people?
I want to add this really quickly, just kind of as a takeaway too, because I feel like I wasn't always in the space that I'm in now. Obviously, I feel like being married. Um, if I didn't experience what I did, I would not be the woman that I am now. And even though there was some bad, there was also
Mhm.
some good, so I am grateful for that. One thing I will say is being able to experience the things that I have and now being in the space that I'm in, like having friends that are in relationships and seeing them deal with things and go through things, that has also helped me be able to say what I'm no longer dealing with. You know what I mean? Because it's like when you're in that situation or in that space, it's hard to see um the red flags or to see the things that you are really sacrificing or putting yourself through for the sake of love. You know what I mean? So um I, like I said, I have not always been in this space, but being having friends and having conversations with them about uh what they're dealing with or what they're going through, that has helped me um add some things to my list of non-negotiables, or even, to take away, or just kind of have a balance to say like, I can probably work with someone based on this, but not so much based on that. You know what I mean? So, I'm grateful for this space that I'm in. Rome wasn't built overnight, so it's a process. You know what I mean? I feel like if you are willing to be committed to the process, it can be a beautiful thing. If you're not, you will just, like Pastor said, you will just continue to reproduce, the same type of relationships and marriages and children and families and generational stuff, if you are not committed to the process, um of knowing better and doing better.
Right.
So that's my two pennies.
Right. No, and I mean I get it, and it's fortunately unfortunate that once you get, not you, but just people who are the sowers of chaos, as I like to call them, the people who keep reproducing the same habits, the same byproducts, like y'all come up against women like us, women who are doing the work, women who are standing firm on who they are. And this goes to, there are men out there who come, women come up against them too. But you're not gonna play with us, right? Because we've been through what we've been through. We're healing and have healed through what we have gone through. And it's not enough to come to me as one, either the same person as you were before, but you just trying to hide it, or two, a worse off version of the same person you was before because you've been hiding it with other people along the way. How in tune we are with God, and how um we don't play about discernment. You may get the opportunity to show what it is that you want to lead with, but once you come in contact and in engagement with myself and women like ShonTa, you're not going to be able to do the same thing that you did before, because we can't do the same thing that we did before. And if that happens, lovingly and respectfully, I will leave yo where it's at. And you can go do whatever you want with whoever you want. I'm just letting you know you can't do it with me.
That
And
part.
because you can't do it with me, and because I am the praying part, you better ask Shantae because she know. Because I am the praying woman that I am, when that exposure come, you can't blame me. That was his design based on your actions.
Right.
So yeah, I'm no longer, I'm not willing to change my prayer language when I need to for love. Like, all right. But nah, this conversation has been a good one. I can't wait to see what we're
Mhm.
gonna bring to y'all next month. Ooh, we be having some good conversations. One day, I promise, we're gonna figure out how to do this in person. So y'all can come, y'all can add y'all insight, you can feel this wonderful, amazing energy that she and I have all the time when we connect, and like for real, for real.
Mhm. We do.
But yes, it's been what, your birthday? We in a whole
Yeah,
nother
that's
month.
just been
Was
a
that
few
a month?
weeks. Yeah, it's been a month.
Oh no, we tripping. Mm-mm. We
Yeah.
gonna have to do something about
We
that.
it's there's a function coming up that I think we'll probably be in the same space this coming weekend. We hadn't talked about it, but I'm sure we'll be in the same space Friday.
I'll look at it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we got our boots on the ground. We working that out. Um,
Mhm.
Also, oh, so the 26th of April will be the next amazing opportunity to connect with, if she can make it, my girl Shantae and I, for Kava and Convos. I didn't get a chance to month in March just because it was so many moving parts, and I was moving along with it. But into that, you guys into that space at least once a month right now, so we can build it and be consistent, and then y'all can tell me how often y'all want to meet. So April 26th at, I think I say 7 I'll look at it. But April 26th is definitely the day. The next opportunity for Kava and Combos is just a space where we as ladies can come together and have these same type of conversations just in person so we can feed off of each other's energy and really try to assist each other in life. I want to say thank you to my girl Shantae. Thank you for, navigating through all the challenges that you was having today
I'm
to
here.
show
I'm
up and
here.
show out like you did. I love you, girl.
Love you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So make sure y'all come back and join. Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm trying to give you, a little permanent space on the couch, but we gonna have to work that out and
Mhm.
see how we can make that happen. But make sure that y'all come back and join me next Sunday. I have another guest, Mr. Ray Gibson. We gonna really get into this one. The conversation that we're having next Sunday is who's really responsible for absent fathers? Is it the women or the men?
Ooh.
Y'all come back and join me next. Look at our face.
Okay, I need to tune into that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But like I said, that's the whole purpose. If y'all are willing to talk about it in one space, let's bring it to the light in all spaces so everybody can be a part and we can try to change this dynamic of life that it is that we're living in through generations. But yeah, next Sunday, I'm looking forward to it. Like, let's go. Who's really responsible for absent fathers? Is it women, moms, or men, dads? Join me next Sunday
Ooh.
with Ray Gibson. Again, thank you to ShonTa for joining me tonight, and I will see you all again next Sunday.
See ya. Bye.
Yes, and I'm sorry, as always, please go out and look for filled with real love and all of the above. Until next time, I love y'all. Have a good evening.